Hi, good evening. Um, I'm having my cape on, and I really like having a cape while I'm doing these handlings, transmissions, or emanations, or whatever you want to call them, because I feel a bit more protected. Although I'm in a lot better energetic space than the last time I did this in Serbian, because I was doing it around the full moon time, and whenever it's around full moon or eclipse, lunar eclipse, or partial eclipse, or something like that, or um, I don't always feel okay. So yeah, the last time I was a little bit crawling around the house for a couple of days because I had some problems with my lower back. There was something, I mean, something coming from the outside also, but there was something being removed from my second chakra, a device, some kind of a device. And that's basically what I spoke about in my, well, a little bit in my serbian video. I didn't mention this device because I myself wasn't aware of what was going on, but I was pretty much under very heavy influences and attacks around that time. But now I'm feeling a little bit more easier, although although there is another portal of transition coming up on Sunday. So yeah, this is usually where I'm having problems with the astral groups that I keep seeing. I see hooded people, like a big, huge group since 2018. I've been seeing that in my dreams, and even when I don't see it, I feel it. And that was a little bit what I was talking about. I was busy. I was updating some information about myself and my work. But before that, I had some sessions. I had some very challenging sessions. Some of them were like the most challenging sessions I've had since I started working for the last 6 years. Um, and I don't think I would have been successful like maybe 2 or 3 years ago in sessions like this. So yeah, everything that I'm mentioning now has something to do with those influences and the moon influences. And I mentioned at one point that I never do rituals around full moon or transmissions or something with a plant or group or these kind of transmissions. I was thinking about it, but then it just something was was not allowing me. Now I know why. Everybody does them. But lately, I started being really fed up of how things should be done and how everybody is doing it. So this is what you should be doing it. I don't want to do things like everybody else is doing it. I want to do them like me. I don't want to do my sessions and transmissions like everybody else. I want to do them the way the energy wants them done. I want to do them in my own way. I want to have my uh, web page creatively done in my own way, not in the way some digital authority said it should look like. And I might not even want to have it in the first place because I don't want to create my reality in that way. So yeah, these are all the issues that have been coming up lately around this week because I've been watching, I've been observing how these technologies. I got nothing against technology. It makes your life a whole lot easier. But I've been observing how these technologies and social networkings and platforms and digital stuff, it's supposed to be in service of us, is actually running our lives, and whoever is behind it is making us create lives in the way they want us to create, because they're fighting over um, money and who's going to be there first to grab you and get you in to be there. So it's not a whole lot of ethics anywhere, and yeah, we're going to be facing this for for a bit of time in a harsh way. I think pretty soon, until majority of people understand what's happening at home. Hopefully, they will understand what's happening because okay, what I mean in some of these sessions, in a channeling actually, it was not a session, it's a channeling. What we discovered is that we're all being influenced through frequency and vibration. I already spoke about that. But this frequent, I don't know how is it coming, whether through Wi-Fi or 5G or just radio waves, which is not a new technology, but it's just this technology is something like it's in an obelisk, and the obelisk has a, a ball. I don't know what it is it rotating or not, but it transmits vibration, and this vibration sends us thoughts, and all of us are influenced by that. And the thoughts are like, you're all gonna die, you're all gonna get sick, and you're gonna die, and all of your family is going to die, and all of your loved ones are going to die. So they're eliciting fear. They're trying to make us be afraid, to evoke fear. And like today, I was sleeping all day long because I don't know. I mean, I'm starting to function like I'm living in another time zone or something like that. However, we had solar flares on 28th, like a big explosion of solar flares coming in, like sun eruptions, and everybody felt it. And people had all different kinds of pains in their bodies. I had it too, but I mean, mine started way back before the couple of days before the full moon, and it has nothing to do because the sun flares clear these things, this shit from me. I didn't have it all that bad, but I slept like integrated slept like throughout the day. But when I woke up, I was swamped with other people's fear because everybody kept sending me messages with what they felt, what they saw, what they found out, the dreams that they had, the thoughts that they had, and all of this can be summed up in what I just said. You're gonna get sick, you're gonna die, you're gonna be controlled, you're gonna be living in camps, in prison camps, you're all gonna die. uh, and I'm like, hang on a little bit, I'm just one person here. So it's getting kind of challenging, and I assume everybody's feeling it, but I'm just sharing my part of a journey and what I'm doing and what I'm discovering. So as as for these challenging sessions, people are coming for sessions and more asking for something like this because they don't know what's happening with them. They have body issues, they have, they're we are all in transition. So whether they're losing homes, whether they're losing jobs, whether they're losing incomes, whether they get sick and then their reality becomes different, whether their relationships become different, whether their marriages break up or important relationships break up, or they get disappointed, or they lose homes, or they sell homes, or they move, or none of the bad things happen. It's just about I don't know, your business enhances, you have to work more, you move in a better place, you start living with somebody you always wanted to live with, but still it's transition, it's a period of change, and you need to adapt to this change, and you need to let go of the old and grieve. You have to have a period of grieving of this all because it's changing. Your old life is not existing anymore. You're not, even you go move into another city and you live with the man of your dreams, but still you're not You're not living with your family. They're left behind, and they're well and okay, but you're still worried about them, and you still have a little bit of grief. So you have to, I mean, and it's okay to look for support in these kind of transitions, and in whatever is going on for you. But we are in a period of transition, it's been lasting a while, and it's going to last a little bit. It may be lasting the longer it should, but the big mess hasn't come up yet, sadly, because everybody's postponing these grieving periods, and everybody's holding to the old, including myself. I was pushed to um well, I didn't let go, but I was kicked out. And I was kicked in the butt, and I was really sad about it, and I'm still sad about it. And I just, you know, even this week, my heart completely crumbled, and I'm just pretending I'm all strong and brave around here, and standing here and talking to you, but inside I'm completely heartbroken, and I still need to deal with that, and I'm dealing with it along with dealing with everything else. But it's still, I mean, I'm no exception. That's what I'm saying. It's happening to everybody. You cannot, at this time, I don't think you can judge anybody, because we are all swimming in this fast, trying to swim in this fast river, in these currents that keep carrying us, and there's no shore, and that there's not going to be shore for a while. Or you can just, find a spot and grab to the next person that you come along, or if you're lucky enough, you're going to be pushed. The current will push you with a little raft with precisely the people that need to be there with your group. And I've been seeing happenings of that too, but not as much as these other things. So everybody is like leading blind, because people are just so afraid of many different things, and I'm seeing many narratives coming up. Not only what's happening now, but lately. I mean, just I don't want to go there, but I don't know what's happening with some of the narratives that I'm hearing that are going on. You know, and I assume it has to do with these devices that I just mentioned. So these technology that is on these obelisks and is sending us waves. It's a technology. It's very advanced technology. It doesn't mean that it's not earthly. It probably is, but it's very advanced, and it's not familiar to me, so I don't know what it is. But it's based mainly in USA and Western Europe. So somebody who has a lot of interest in this is running the show with this. They just leave it there, and you figure it out. So basically, the clients that were coming, they all had something around here that was really thick, was like plasma. It was really thick, and I had really, really big problems in coming, penetrating that, and coming, not even removing. I didn't know. I just noticed later, but it's just like these, it's giving them thoughts that are just, they're not like let go of that. It's just they, like crazy people, like crazy person grabbing onto one idea and not letting it go. And it's usually the idea that it's wrapped around a lot of fear, a fear that they're not even noticing. It's not usually the fear of that. It's a different kind of fear. It's there, a very big fear. So it's there where this attaches, and the other things attach there, because they are all our groups doing rituals on astral. When they're not on astral plane. I mean, some are in different dimension, some are here, and around full moon they're all doing, like, the other ones who are doing good things are also doing rituals around the full moon. But the other ones are working like crazy, especially around these times, and they're just inverting everything. it's everything is inverted. Like the way I discover, I've discovered it, but what I'm discovering along the way about these inversions is just crazy. It's just completely, it's shocking. It's shocking even to me. So I don't worship the moon. I don't mind the moon, but I wouldn't worship it, and I don't advise you to worship it, and I don't advise you to connect to it, especially. Why? Because I said I'm going to be speaking about it at some point. I did, and I just completely forgot what I said in my previous video in Serbian because I'm in a completely different energy. And because all those things got clear as I was speaking about it. And I had a session that helped in it. Uh, when I do some of my astral travels and in dreams and when I sleep, especially those things happen around when I come to certain when I receive a lot of energy, or when I come to some revelations, or when I need to advance a little bit more, so I'm just about to go to the next level or whatever that is, something bad happens, and it's usually around the full moon. And then I have these dreams that it took me time to understand that this is the moon. I'm there, and there are camps, prison camps, like work camps, similar to Nazi camps, but not as bad. They're military camps. And people used to tell me, oh, please, you should never go to the moon. Don't go to the moon. It's not like I want to go there. I just find myself there because my energy is connected to there. It's trapped there. And what I discovered through my sessions, and this is why I'm able to say this, is that majority of the spiritual community, whether around here or abroad, has this issue, and their energy is trapped there, or they're even some are breeded to be the lunar forces and work for this energy, and they don't even know it. Some know it, but majority doesn't. Some are manipulated. Some are instructed. Some are briefed to do this, and they don't know it. These are military camps, and it has to do with the secret space program. From what I've seen, majority, if not all, who are in spiritual community are part of the secret space program, and the disclosure that needs to happen, that hopefully is going to happen. Yes, it's about what's going on and the agendas behind all of this, but it's about the secret space program, which is no secret anymore in the States, but it's not what I mean by that. It's this, that we're all used for it. So, if you by any chance have had back pain, an extreme back pain, and whatever you did, nothing worked and nothing helped you, and it keeps coming back, chances are, and I'm speaking this from the experience, personal one, and as a therapist, chances are that you have had sexual trauma, men and women both. Secret space program, you are initiated, sort of speaking, in a secret space program through sexual trauma in a childhood, and you don't have to remember it because it's a program. They reprogram you so that you don't remember. And if you don't deal with it, if not earlier years, your body will tell you, even if you're 50, even if you're 70, even if you're 60 or 70, at some point you might not even be able to walk, because it is written in your body. Your energy remembers, your higher being know what happened to you, and at some point you will have to deal with it, because usually there are cords and attachments that lead to there, and there are beings connected to you work for, and chances are that you worked for them for ages without knowing. Their devices are placed, whether in men and women, both in women to extract the energy, because women are cauldrons. They have a womb that is, women are creatrixes, and through the womb you create and you collect the energy there so that you can use it for creation. And these devices, they're ethereal devices. They can drain your energy somewhere else and send it somewhere else. They reverse the flow of your energy and send it somewhere else. For men, they place devices so that you need to have sex all the time with many women. Some, not all, for some. And you basically extract energy like this, but you don't keep it. It goes somewhere else. So this usually means that you either made a deal, conscious or unconscious deal, with a being that is there. They're not so good beings on the moon. They're not God beings. How I know? I've had sessions about this, and I've had personal experience my all lives, all of my previous lifetimes. I had been sacrificed, and even in my very first incarnation on the earth, it starts before. But I'm speaking about this now. I have been sacrificed to the beings on the moon, and they are like a goddess of the moon. In an Amazon, I would sacrifice to goddess of the moon, which in reality it was not a goddess, and it was not a feminine being at all. And the priest or shaman or whatever who that was leading this ceremony, he sort of attached us, me and I mean, it was not only me. There were other people because we were like royalty of that land and priesthood. And there were like I worked on pyramids. I worked with lighting and plant medicine, and I was creating civilizations. They were male and female. I it happened to my male partner counterpart too, maybe later on in different way, but chances are that in some other incarnations he started working for them. Maybe I worked for them in some other lives too. I can get to there too, because they are. This is basically your initiation into the darkness. That's what happened to me when I had my unborn child was also attached to this beings and to the priest, so that he can always tap into us and use our energy. I don't even know whether that being that is incarnate being or not, or he's just now there. But every time, this is why I have problems when there is a full moon. So my energy is not, my energy is harnessed. And yeah, I do like around the full new moon and a full moon, I do some little things for myself, like plant a seed around the new moon, and then manifest. Was my lower back, and manifest around the full moon, manifestations, which you want to manifest, and what you want to give, like the offerings. What are you giving? I usually give offerings to the fire, which are offerings to the god, and that's all I do, because mainly I'm asking at that time to something to be removed from me and to be protected, because I just yeah, whenever I remove something and get extra protection, and around these times they get stripped off. So I also had this, like I didn't have it when I was like, I got a protection from the mountain when I was climbing, so they couldn't attach. But around that time, I got it again here, so they're sending me dreams again. Before that, I saw when they were trying, I saw it like a brick wall crumbling, and I could see properly. But now they're doing something. They did something. I know what they did. I know how they do it. But I just don't know whether I should say it now because it's done through the rituals and sacrifices, not like the ones that I mentioned. Right? That we normally do, like the kind of what I went through in my past life. So, no being of light will ever ask from you any kind of sacrifice, especially not blood sacrifice, whether that is an animal or a human being. This is not for the being of light, and this does not connect you to the light being. You don't even need any kind of offerings. Yeah, but our ancestors like gratitude. So in that sense, you can offer flowers, you can offer smoke, you can offer water, you can offer plants, you can offer food, incense, perfumes, oils, stuff like that. It's a different thing, it's an offering. You can offer your old energy. But they never ask anything from you. They appreciate respect and gratitude. So basically, this is how I know. And it happened to me through almost every, not almost every lifetime I saw. Usually we don't see lifetimes that are not holding traumas and problems for us because we don't have any work there. So, even in these lives, we take our talents and gifts back because they're trapped there. And this is what I'm actually basically still working on is retrieving my energy from the moon entrapment. And trust me, it's an entrapment. After my last video, I had a session with a girl, very young girl, which is like surprising that I accepted a session with her because it's too young for this kind of work. And but I did. I felt I should, and I did. We had problems connecting, and I had problems. I mean, when she sent me a message, I did something, and I don't even know how my phone blocked her. It blocked her. Yeah, but we connected eventually, so we had a session, and understood why. The reason why I'm speaking about these in a little bit more detail than before of this lifetime is because we discovered she was that child. So around that time, that was like a week after full moon, but this horrid energy was going through me and it was being cleared from me. And I'm not going to share her process because she's still in the process, but it has to do with it. Being trapped and these whole lot of beings having claims. They believe they own you and they're going to be having claims. And usually the way it works, they will trick somebody in your genealogy to make a promise on your behalf that they can have you or your gifts or something like that, or they will manipulate you. Did you make a promise? Because they will offer something that you want. It doesn't really matter that things might not work the way you want them, because they know what the outcome will be, because they are eternal, also eternal. They're only eternal because they're using other people's energy. And why is this? Because these are usually the people who are coming from old lineages of priesthood, Atlantean priesthood, Lemurian priesthood, and from other planets, and Pleiades usually. But there is like Pleiad, Sirius, Orion. Am I missing something? They're all usually Andromedan. So this starts on other planets, but you get your entrapment. I mean, I had problems with other maleficent planets too, but I'm speaking about the moon now because I spoke about that in other videos. These families are knowledge holders, not necessarily priests or priestesses. They don't even call themselves like that, but they have a lot of power, a lot of knowledge. And the invaders that came through could only sustain themselves on the people's energy, human energy, and their energy of these beings. Basically, our human vessels are vessels, are portals for these, whether these old lineages or invader energies. Other races, not all of the races are invader energies, but not all of the races are coming from these old lineages. They have different issue purposes. They're not portal holders, and they usually want their talents so that they can work, so that they can be priests, because then themselves are controlled like that, and they're creating civilizations and societies that can be used from these other beings. This is the agenda that we're having now. It's behind the agenda that we're having now, and that's something that's been going on for thousands of years, for centuries. It's nothing new. This polarity game and separation game is not a new game. Moon is part of the separation game. So and I'm saying no exception. If you are having this recurring stuff, like a lower back pain, you have had sexual trauma and you have to deal with it. You better face it, because it's not going to go away. Search for it. Find it. There's no shame in it, because you're still holding on to pain there. Your energy and your body is holding on to pain there. And it's trying to tell you something. Like, again, how I know. Takes one to know one. I've been searching in this life too. And this is how they initiate you into darkness. Again, this is how your body is kicked out. Your soul, part of your soul, is kicked out of your body, so that it can be used. You're using your consciousness, and very often your body too. There are people, and I've had sessions like that, a few, but I've had them, who are sleepers. And when I say sleepers, I don't mean like they should be awakened to, I don't know, the way the world works and the spirituality. They usually are very interested and curious in spirituality, because they also belong to these kind of families, or have connections but they're very programmed because they have been used since childhood, and the program goes that can't be helped. They probably went everywhere, nothing worked, nobody helped them, and wherever they do, whatever they try, no matter how good a therapist or even plant medicine or energy work or whatever, nothing helps because they come to a certain point and then they block and stop a session or just start, speaking some nonsense. And it's because usually those ones who are still in the either secret space program or are being used as sleepers, that they're triggered with a word or a vibration or a frequency, so that they do what they're told to do, are programmed with with hypnotic trances, not the kind of ones that I do, with the ones that you don't remember anything. Your memories is put in a in a bubble and sent somewhere over the rainbow, and whenever you try to remember it, you access it, you cannot access it. And even if incidentally somebody helps you access it, then they give you a program that you try to do something to yourself or to the person helping you, and their subconscious knows it, their energy knows it, so this is why they stop. And I've had both kinds of sessions, and the later ones are not, energetically not feeling good. uh, so yeah, I'm saying this for the sake of the therapists and people helping other people, because you need to work on triggers. Go back to some of my previous videos, like a year ago, 2 years ago, triggers, and there are other things that I'm speaking about. Everything is happening now that I'm speaking about. It's just you don't. It's just not on the surface. If you go a little bit deeper, that's what's going on. You have to work on the triggers and shut off the triggers. I worked 6 months on myself with an expert, and I worked with a satanic ritual abuse expert for myself and for other people, and this is how I know. I've been like, it was not a training, but we had programs for other people, so that they can understand how this works. So this is how I know. And still, there can be some very deep things. Usually, this comes from past lives, not only from this life. Why? Because usually they had some very big talents, or created a deal with a being that is keeping them trapped in these recurring patterns. We can keep ourselves trapped in these recurring patterns with the deal that we make with our own soul, because we're still learning a lesson that we haven't understood properly before. That's one thing. This is also a lesson. There is also a lesson in this here. But from what I'm seeing, I've had this client recently also. She came for a second session, like 3 years after the first one, which was like, she was a boy that committed a suicide, a teenage boy, like not even a teenager, and didn't see everything then. I don't think she saw everything now either, because there was not a lot of emotion regarding this. But after that, we went to a life in Egypt, in ancient Egypt, where she was sold by her parents as a 3-year-old girl to a temple, a priest in a temple, and she lived. She said she lived a good life. She was taken care of and had food, had good clothes, and she didn't die violently. She didn't even understand that a part of her is missing. she was not connected to a part of her, because what came out in a session is that, because once she said that her sister around age 2 was also was also taken to a temple, and her brother remained, like my light bulbs went like, and my ears like, what? So I was a kind of suspicious. So I asked why them? And I don't even know what I asked. Sometimes I receive information about what did I ask. I'm not even sure at that moment why. Um, mm, I asked whether they were abused or something like that, and what came out was there were some rituals done to them so that they don't remember who they are, their parents, and so that they don't ever look for their where they came from or their lineage. I mean, once she said don't look for the lineage, then I was like in my antennas again went up, and I asked why is this lineage so important? And then she said that they were coming, like they had some old knowledge working with plants, and they came from Persia, and there were some through a portal and stuff like that. And this is how it came about that her reproductive organs were taken out when she was a girl, and something like was placed in the solar plexus, but physically at that lifetime, like a golden plate that had inscribed on it um, a servant, not a humble servant, but obedient servant. Like she will always be a servant. Basically, this priest, who was not an incarnate being anymore, who's living on another planet, was tapping into her and all of his other servants who were in that lifetime, and God knows how many other lifetimes. So they were always available to him, so that their energy goes there, and he uses their talent. And although she was interested in spirituality, she was more interested in her life going in the direction where she wanted it to go, and it did. I mean, she moved into another country with a man she wanted to live with, and nothing bad was happening in that time when she was asking for a session, but she had flashes of these memories from ancient Egypt coming back to her, and she didn't feel quite right inside. She didn't feel she didn't feel okay. Something was missing, and she just, felt it like very strongly inside. And honestly, before that session, um, I threw up. There were like all sorts of things I was feeling in my body. I reflect my clients like that sometimes, not sometimes, all the time. I'm like a mirror for my clients, and I feel their process physically. God help me with that. And I throw up when there is something very serious on them. So terrific after that session, because she connected with the goddess, and this was the point. She was a vessel. And her lineage was working with this goddess. Uh, like one of the she said she's the seventh sister in the lineage of 12 of the goddess, not the woman, and she's like her offspring. And I'm sure there's a lot more there, but I don't. She looked like she she doesn't need anything anymore ever. Like that was all she needed in her life, and I don't think she'll ever need another session again, because she got back all of her talent, and the goddess got her. Basically, she got her into her womb, into the cosmic womb and a portal that she goes to recover and replenish. And I had a similar story. I mean, I don't know how many lifetimes was this happening to this client of mine, but for me, it's happening for a while. So this is one of the reasons that I do not trust energies of the moon, and I do not connect with the moon because there are not their bases there, and there are beams being sent with satellites to all of us from there. At some point, like a couple of years ago, when I started, I mean, I was, I always remember my dreams, and I have lucid dreams, but this was there were a couple of times with different experiences when I was out of my body and I was next to my bed and I was observing my body, me sleeping and there were like many screens and different um, holograms of different versions of me. In some of them I was dying in some of them. In this, it was supposed to happen in this lifetime. And then there saw a beam that was going to my head, sending information, and not only to my, there was a beam going to all of us. I know which planet I was going through. At that time, I thought it was Orion, but I don't know, since I had an impulse of mentioning, maybe it wasn't, but basically that's how it goes. It lasted really, really short because as soon as I became aware of that, there were somebody came and kicked me back in, and all sorts of like all hell broke loose on me after that. So yeah, that's one of my reasons. So when I was thinking about it, why I have this, why I have this resistance to this. Everybody's talking about, women are like the moon, like we're lunar. Because when you're speaking about the feminine and masculine energy, like men are solar and women are lunar, in a sense that we're receptive, that we're more emotional, we're connected, that the moon is connected to the water and to the cycles, and that we are a cyclical nature, and that we have changes, mood swings, that we have periods that are connected to the moon, that are influenced by the moon, like the moon. But when you come to think of it, it's all like, yeah, to the extent where we're having the feminine rising up and awakening, that's okay. Because, we're measuring time towards the moon and the sun too, but differently. We had solar and lunar calendars. But the old calendars, not the ones we're using now, and everybody keeps posting on their Facebooks and whatever. It's by the way, you don't even know what kind of being are you connecting with that also. Once you develop certain abilities and you are able to sense them and feel them and smell them and feel on your body where that attaches, you will know. Hopefully, I think I'll help you with that. I'm speaking from the experience here. I know so many lifetimes before has this happened to me before I discovered all this, or maybe I have discovered it, so but they just kept it happened. What happened? I'm a solar priestess, goddess, solar goddess. I connect to the sun. We are all children of the sun. Yes, calendars were measured and time was measured by the sun and the moon, but the sun has cycles too, and men have cycles. Men have cyclical nature too, not only women. It's a story about separation because the moon is between sun and the earth, and we only see the changes of the moon and see the moon differently because the sun revolves around the moon. Yes, the moon revolves around the sun, but it doesn't emit anything. A moon in itself doesn't have any light. It reflects the light from the sun. It's a satellite. It's a satellite of the earth, of the sun. And it's not fertile. Nothing grows there. It's not alive. It's not even a star. It's not bright. Earth was a star. Earth is nature is cyclical. Nature is what has cycles and different ages. Nature is feminine. Mother Earth is feminine, and it's fertile and gives life. Sun is life. You can also destroy it, but it gives life, it emits the code, gives warmth. Did you know that in microbiology you can find out about this, that our when we combine our DNA and RNA in every cell of our bodies, it equals the size of a trajectory from the Earth to the Sun, not the Moon. Some say Moon is artificial and it's not made. It's made by alien beings. I don't know. That's not what I'm talking about. I don't know. I don't know. It has a purpose as long as it's there. But from what I've seen it's a portal. And it's a portal to a false ascension grid. It doesn't take you to home. Because when you ascend, there is a map that you have to follow. Because way, 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 way back, before this all became this kind of game, separation game, when these portals, not necessarily planets, I'm not talking about the planets, but some are, they're created as portals of the ascension. So once you up level, you are on this planet or you go through this port. Some are created because there were battles, after the invasion. There was a group who was a good group, a good group. And this good group turned bad. It fell because they started judging a lot, because they started believing they're better than the others. So they were arrogant. And because they thought they can create without a creator. And they did. Some of it was programming, some of it was creation of their creation. As they were eternal, they didn't want to go because they liked the way they were. So when the others, part of their group, soul groups, came to rescue, they manipulated and trapped them. It happened to me. There was a being that is being used for my entrapment. How I know? Because my original group has been trying to rescue me for a really long time, and they're trying to do that now. And I discovered this recently. So there were gates, and there were gatekeepers. And this is about and there were subgates of these gates. This is like gate 11, like spherots, the tree of life in Kabbalah and the spherots in Kabbalah. There are more than that. So, what is the soul plan there? Okay. Because in the sixth entity, we all come back to one. But there are some that need to be healed, cleared, and reprogrammed. And you need to have a map of the ascension so that you can walk. How I know? I walked it when I was climbing the mountain. On another level, I was climbing it. I was climbing a metal structure that looked like some of the medical shapes and symbols. And there were ones that were not leading anywhere. So you need to have a or a guide. And before I went there, I had somebody in my dreams who was telling me where to step and how to jump to the next line that was coming. Sort of evade the one that's laying nowhere. You need to not only remember, some of us not only remember who you are, and you know, this is something that nobody usually remembers. It goes way, way, way back when all these creation, it's matrix, the creation of the matrix happened. Sun is also a portal, and there are beings living on the sun also, which are light beings, ascended masters, and god goddesses, if you want to however you want to call them. But it's also a portal to dimensions and other galaxies, which are light galaxies. And when you go, if you notice, if you listen to my transmissions, there are some that I tell you to go through the sun and then through the central galactic sun and then beyond, and then you can go beyond. And at that time, I didn't even know why I was doing that. So, yeah, just think about, nobody's talking. I just mentioned that we had major solar flares, and solar flares affect, yes, moon affects us too. It affects the waters, and it affects, we, in the past times, we measured that when we will plant seeds, when we'll have crops, when the winter will come, and what will we do through the winter. Like they measure time. But it's the nature of the earth that makes us do that, because this is what revolves. So the sun it should be in the service of the earth, but it isn't. It harnesses its energy and it goes somewhere else most of the time. And all of it is the dance between the earth and the sun. That's the union that needs to happen. It mostly, it happens on the higher planes. Why did this turn out like this? Because in the past times, it was used as a portal, trick you and trap you. And basically, most, if not all of these old families that I've just mentioned about, they're all of their energies are trapped there. They're all trapped there, or imprisoned there. And I know, because I was one of the gatekeepers, and there were fights around these gates, and some of us gave lives to protect some portals, and it's happening again. Experienced in this lifetime huge attacks because of the portals. The portals are usually kept by the beings in another dimension. You are, as a vessel, you're in a connection. Some of us are connections with them. And this is the first, this is the first time I openly say this like this, because before I didn't feel safe enough to do it, because God knows what's going to happen now after I've stated it. But I'm just, some things need to be shared light on now at this time. And disclosures and revelations happen inside of us, individually, in each and every one of us. So if somebody is not ready and cannot understand what happened to them in this lifetime, or they cannot accept that they had an abuse in a past lifetime, how can they do it for this lifetime? Some cannot even accept that other people had something like this. And they'd rather call you crazy and deal with the emotions that stirs the disturbs in them and deal with the triggers. Although they're searching for something and everybody is scared because everybody's mental mind is going a little crazy these days. That's what solar flares can do to you. Like I said, nobody's mentioning that any flashes from the moon affect us. It affects the waters and affects emotions. Of course, every planet affects us. The sun, solar flares enhance our vibration, clear things from us, and make us grow, make us rise. Everything grows thanks to the sun and the fertile Mother Earth. And if you notice, nobody is talking about the moon flash and the event of the moon. Everybody is talking about the sun flash. Why is that? If we are so stuck on the moon, try disconnect from the moon for a little while. See what happens. Probably you're going to be attacked like hell, but see what happens. I mean, I don't even know how to explain all these things because I'm part of the program, so we're all programmed this way. It doesn't mean, like I say, it shouldn't have a purpose, but we shouldn't give it as much of a purpose as we're doing it now because it's keeping us in the program of separation. I don't believe, like they're saying, I started this with male female difference. Like male men are solar and female are lunar. This is why we're connected. We're like them. We are the moon. We are like the moon. I'm like the sun. I emanate. There are male and female beings on the sun, and Divine Mother, Father, God are together. They're not separate. This is keeping us in separation, and I don't believe in this story that males are scared of dark. I mean, the feminine is dark, and because it's dark and moist and unknown, and God knows what's lurking there, men are afraid. Men are not afraid. They're not afraid. It's a program. We're all programmed to think about each other in these terms and have a conflict with each other. There is no conflict. There is no separation. There is no dance. We're not dancing around each other. You know, feeling our way. It just is. We're all made in the eyes of the divine, in the image of the divine, which is male and female. It just is. We are just being programmed to be in separation and in everlasting search or conflicts, or because what these invaders did when they first came, invaded, when they attacked, they separated. I spoke about some of it in some previous videos. I had this, I have these my boji stones, my moki stones, and they're like my cat. Like before the last video, my cat hid one of those. She hid the male one, and she never, like in 12 years I've had her, she never touches anything of mine. And recently she's only been moving stones that are connected to male energy, and she hid this one, so I couldn't find it. And once I found it, it was cold, no energy. Well, this one wasn't. So I was thinking about what's going on, and I thought, in Kabbalah they're saying like the male cannot progress without spiritually, cannot grow spiritually without a woman, because a woman is a cauldron and taps into her intuition a little bit easier because of her nature than the man, but she can go further, although she can also grow to big height without a male, and she can create without a male partner. Not that doesn't mean you should, because we create together. We are like, that's how we were made. That's That's natural. That's how we're made. There were temples like in old ancient, like Greece and Rome and in Egypt. There were temples that some of the goddess priestesses were trained in how to deliver, bring babies to earth without male presence. At some points, they were done by like higher alien beings. Some they just did it with their Kundalini rising, with enough power and training and heat and energy, pressure. It could happen. Not anymore. Nobody knows how to do this anymore, but it could happen. And when you think about it, it's like the cell when it starts splitting. You need enough heat and energy. I mean, I don't know enough physics so to explain this properly. But when you apply enough heat and energy, the cell starts splitting on its own. So that's how it works. We are the cell. So the energy, a woman has a womb, and this is the only reason why female children were taken to these temples and being used as slaves. And like going back to the beginning of what I said, the womb is a cauldron of creation. You don't necessarily have to create a child, but they can use their energy to sustain civilizations. This is how the Hathor priestesses sustained Egypt, and this is how Vestals sustained Rome and Roman Empire. They were used. They were priestesses, and they were like firekeepers, but they were used. Not they didn't have to know. Not necessarily. They didn't have to know. Like going back to this client of mine, and when once a woman reaches certain potentials, she's supposed to actually pull a man. Well, she can't. At some point, she cannot start without a man, but she can grow higher instances than the man. But she's the one who's supposed to turn back and extend the hand to him so that he can grow more. Because without a woman, a man cannot grow spiritually. Without his divine feminine, that is, not any woman. Some women will hinder his growth and block him, and some sent to those members of these goddess lineages, mm, priestesses lineages, gatekeepers that I just mentioned. This is how they trap us. This is how they manipulate us. So this also has to do with the programming of how the female was viewed throughout centuries, or male too. And the moon has a lot to do with it, and it's not enhancing, but it's enhancing. It's still contributing to that energy and this programming. So do we keep staying in this program? Being male or female, being left or right, east or west, of this religion or that religion, this lineage or that lineage, doesn't mean you're separate, because we're all part of the whole. We're part of the bigger picture. This is what we all have to understand and come to in terms with if we want to stand individually and collectively. And at this moment, collective is in the big separation game with the mandates and everything that is going on, but with these spiritual communities supporting all these with their judgments and separations and ambitions, and I'm better than you, and this one is worse, and this one is so bad because they're doing this or that. I know better and I have more powers, and this with, yeah, priestesses are coming back and goddesses are coming back. Mindful of not sending too much energy to one direction, because you're creating this balance in the sense. We are forgetting the sun in this story, and you're forgetting the whole other picture. Because once you go into the disbalance, something will happen to send you straight back to, so that you can start searching to create balance. We are just together. We are just creating together. We have these male and female energies inside of us. Yeah, they can be a little blocked. They can be in a little conflict. They can maybe not be communicating with each other for some reason. They're not separate. They're not outside. They just, part of you didn't just split and went somewhere. It's still there. It's inside of you. It's a program. It's a story. And I've been seeing that because all of the clients lately, like in the last 2 years, and even since the beginning, this is all we do. We balance male and female energies. Because, once they start telling me that in the Council of Elders they're seeing only males, or only, nobody actually so far told me that they're seeing only women. Some tell me that they're just balanced in themselves. But I don't buy that story, because when there's no woman there, I usually invite them so that they can help you connect to your feminine energies, and have a little balance yourself, balance your own energy inside, so that it comes out somehow. And this is when men can become a little passive, not because they have too much feminine energy inside of them, but because they're disconnected. They're feminine because they bought the story. And you need to have balance of action and receptivity. So this is one of the things that I wanted to say. And the other thing is that when we speak about all these issues and everything that is going on now, even about when I speak about my sessions and some of the recent sessions that I had, and what people come with and what they want from it, it has nothing to do mainly with the soul. The soul has its own agenda, and this is why we do these sessions, to connect you with your soul and its plan and its agenda and the lesson that these soul want you to learn and you keep missing. And if you're still thinking of how you want to drive a big expensive car, and I don't know, I mean, and I don't know how much money you should have in your bank account and stuff like that, and manifesting things, you're still focusing on material stuff. And, I mean, not to say that there's anything wrong with that. We need to be taken care of. But, maybe you don't need this fancy car at the moment. Maybe you need some car that makes your life easier, but you don't need to have like a Lexus or something like that, or a Ferrari that you just want so badly. And you cannot influence other people because of that, because you want to push your agenda. Usually this is why you came here in the first place, even with good intentions, because you push your agenda too harshly and too much. Like these, with good intention. You can be a researcher, and you have being like, we're creating this. universe. They were like very intelligent and great, but they like to experiment. They like to experiment so much to the extent that they blow up the whole planet alongside with their experiment, and they go, oh, whoops. Then you come back so that you can learn. And that's the same. You cannot, no matter how much annoying people you have around you, no matter how much you want to slap them to awaken, no matter how much you want them to I don't know, shake them. I want to do some of these with my clients. I want to shake them so that can't you just see it? You can't, because you cannot interfere. It's their process. You cannot interfere. Some of the things that I just mentioned, I never say to my clients. Some of the things I sense, and I just receive information, or I receive information later, whether myself or working when I'm trying to understand what is going on with me, because I say I'm feeling a lot of what's going on with my clients in my own body. By working with other mediums and therapists that are helping me. But I never say this to my client. I never interfere with their process. I never push them. They receive as much as they can receive at that moment. And no matter how many annoying people we have in our lives who just don't get it, who just won't stop, who are just terrible, aggressive, whether passively or just very aggressive and even threatening very existence, but you cannot influence them. You can only work on yourself. You can work on your own triggers, and you can change something in you, and then some gradually some things will change. Not overnight. It takes time. It really takes time. Like, going back to the example of this client, she came 3 years ago, and she got the changes that she wanted to see in her life. But then there was still something that was missing, which was a part of her soul, of her talent that was somewhere else. And that was her process. That was her time. Her time was then, and it's time when it's time. You cannot push it, and it takes as long as it takes. I have these annoying people in my life too who just won't get it and won't stop. Like I said about these astral attacks and stuff like that. But what can you do? Want to be exactly like them? Want to create more karma for you? You create karma like this. You create heavy energies that you have to clear God knows how long. And they're sick. They're mentally ill. They're in trouble. They're not working on themselves. This is why they're behaving like this. They don't have some of them don't even have the capacity to. Some of them are influenced. Some of them are victims of all those things that I just mentioned themselves, but they don't know it because they're not working on themselves. They will at some point, but it's going to take a lot longer for them. God knows I want to send a wrath of God to some of them and send lightnings and stuff. What would I do? Maybe I did it sometimes. I don't know. At some point, but this is not what my sessions are for, and this is not what I'm going to do for you or anyone in my sessions. We're not working on other people. We're working on you and on your development. And even you understanding this is a part of your process. And maybe it's not a lesson. Maybe it's just that there's something that you need to understand about yourself still. And once you do that, stops. And maybe some of them are not even human. Maybe some of them are just clones. Maybe all sorts of things. But many people are not even ready for understanding how simple hypnosis is and what that is, and not to mention things like this, or that higher beings can manifest physically. Yet my clients want when I'm not in hypnosis, I want to see you, I want to touch you, because I will be in hypnosis when I see my guide, when I don't remember anything, when I don't know who I am or where I am, and where I can, like I see, like they see me. Guide laughed at this because you're not ready. You, you scared shit if that happened. Their higher beings can pick up a body, and they within their vessel they can be male or female. They usually come in pairs, but their representation, their feminine or masculine principle, we see them as a hologram, but they could be physical if they wanted to. But usually they don't have the need to do that. Why would they do that? They live in another dimension. Why would they lower their vibration like this and dirty their energy? They cannot handle our energy. Once you start clearing your energy for the ones who are energetically sensitive, you will understand this, because you feel a lot from other people. Like I'm speaking what I'm going through with some of my sessions and some of my clients. Well, why do you think some people go live in a mountain or in a cave once they come to certain levels? I mean, you know, so they're ready for something like that. Why would they do this to themselves? Unless completely necessary. When it is completely necessary for a rescue or something as a lesson, they will do it, but it's usually not. It's not how it goes. And speaking of those who are completely annoying, I was thinking lately about this Saint Paul, Apostle Paul, because I couldn't understand this completely when I was way back. I was much younger, and the first time I read the Bible, I completely couldn't understand this. How come he was so he was persecuting Christians to the extent that he was killing them and sending them to gallows and sending them to be uh, killed and to tortured and you know, crucified. And God appeared to him, and I think it was blind, or what happened to him. Got blind. Remember, I don't remember. I said something wrong, and God spoke to him, and then he turned around and he became like the biggest preacher of all and protector of Christianity and promoter of Christianity. What is that? What is that? I couldn't understand that. How? It really took me a long time. Like all of this that I'm speaking about is that programs. After that, he was a big persecutor of the ones who were respecting the goddess, by the way. How about that program? So it's about faith. You gotta have faith in all of this and all you do, in all the situations when you don't understand what is going on, who's right, what's right, and all of these not only misinformations, but all of these programmings and all of the programmings and everything inside of everybody's coming out to the surface. The only thing that can get you through is faith, kind of connection to your inner guidance to high power. So where did that go? How come we're not turning to God, Divine Mother, Father God, but we are worshiping the moon, like so to speak? Did you feel like when you do that? Did you have headaches sometimes? Like something is there, something is sitting there? You make idols out of anything, planets included. We need to have faith in ourselves and faith in our souls and in the plan that our souls have created, made for us. There's a reason why we came to this place. There's a reason, there's a purpose. There's always the time and the place and the space for each and every one of us to go. Our souls know when is the time. And they cannot, they can induce fear in us. But bottom line is it's not any of them that are deciding this. It's our souls and higher beings. Because sometimes you can become so drained or tired or damaged, or there's nothing you can do anymore, although you haven't finished your stuff. You took an exit. Your body's not in use anymore, or circumstances change. You got exited because you cannot perform your duty anymore, or just time. You finished. Go to the next level, or whatever, or go to where it's needed to go. But hell, in that journey, in that trajectory, you can be manipulated with your choices. It's all about your choices. It's all about your choices of what you decide to connect to, who you decide to connect to, who you decide to make agreements with. Many of us, many people have already made their choices with the jab and then everything else that is going on. Many are making these choices in their dreams without it realizing, because they are communicating with those that are manipulating us. Just be mindful of that. And always connect to your guide, higher being, higher power, your soul. God. Where is God in all of this? In these kind of situations, it's only the intervention of the higher power, like in the story of St. Paul. It can get you through and can make a change in somebody or in other circumstances when they're too annoying. Not you. That's why I say you cannot influence other people. With most of them, the intervention is needed, whether that intervention is from a soul or a guide or higher being or a flaming bush or a tree that starts speaking, or I don't know, or a disease or something happens, or in aliens or galactic federation. That's a higher power too, because they're higher beings than us. They're in development. It's a divine intervention anyhow. So the way you can deal with that is just pray and tap into your faith. And create comfy, loving energy and circumstances around you, so that you're not so much penetrated with everything that is going around and outside, because you are on your own journey, and trust your journey, trust God. Right? That's what I'm gonna leave you with. That's what I do all the time, most of the time, especially with these lately, and especially with these agendas, and especially with the and all the attacks and everything that I'm experiencing, because I'm a thorn in the eye to some, whether they're physical beings or they send me stuff. They send me some stuff through clients to attach to me. They in dreams and influences. It happens lately a lot more than it used to happen before. It doesn't have to do everything doesn't have to do with all of the agendas that are going on now. It has to do with me remembering and taking my energy and my talents back. Because they're just not going to hand them back to you. Like I say with my clients, I tell them it doesn't have to be a fight, but it's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna stop until you completely find all the agreements that you once made. It doesn't mean whether you did it consciously or unconsciously, whether um, they were pushed into it, manipulated into it, or tortured into it, or somebody made them for you, or you were sold. You're going to be trying because that's what they do. And at the same time, these are lessons and tests for you, especially if you're a slow learner, if you have a tendency to repeat some lessons, if you have an inclination towards, I don't know, ambition, pride, or arrogance, you know, jealousy, stuff like that. So yeah, think about that. That's all I had to say. Thank you very much for your attention, and see you next time.